Hello YouTube, this is Frugal and welcome to another FROOGLE'S Hangar. Been a while since I've done a FROOGLE'S Hangar because I've been a little distracted with everyday life. I apologize for that. But today we are in DCS taking a look at the beta of the brand new DCS MIG-15 BiS, also codenamed Faggot. Let's not go and discuss that bit anymore, but that's its codename. This is a pretty cool aircraft. It was designed obviously to go head-to-head with the Sabre. In fact, it bears a lot of design, or takes a lot of design cues from the North American Sabre, which is kind of cool. And it flies much like the Sabre as well. In fact, I would say it's a little bit more skittish and a little more knife edge and unstable than the Sabre, which in a fighter, in some instances, not all, is exactly what you want. But you can see here they've done a great job. It really looks amazing. It's good to see more and more of these 50s and 60s era aircraft making their way into DCS. I just hope that very soon with DCS World 2 in particular we start to see matching ground units as well, because there's nothing quite as upsetting as being shot down by a Shilka in one of these using modern radar tracking technology. Anyway, this is pretty cool. I have spent quite a bit of time with this already. I just haven't been able to get around to making a video. I want to show you around before we get in the air. Matt Wagner at Eagle Dynamics very kindly reached out to me and said would I like to see this, and I said yes, so he sent it across. But you can get it as well. Just go to the Eagle Dynamics website and hand over your credit card to get in on the beta. Let me show you the detail in here. Now obviously this is a Russian aircraft, so everything is in Russian. The speeds are all in kilometers per hour, the altitudes are in meters, which is a little bit disconcerting if you're used to feet and inches and miles per hour or knots even. But the cool thing about it being Russian is, as I think I said before with the Black Shark videos, and I'm panning the view at the keyboard right now. I do have track IR here, and I'm going to use it when we start flying. But the cool thing with Russian aircraft, Russian military aircraft, is since, I guess, the 50s, maybe even earlier, they had one major design consideration for the cockpit, and that is to make things as simple as possible. The focus is really on simplicity, ease of use, the idea being that in the event of a nasty outbreak of war, especially in the light of the Cold War era, that you could rapidly train up new pilots and not have to put them through a massive training program like American pilots would have to go through, or even European pilots. So very simple once you figure out what's what. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start this up. I'm going to turn track IR back on. There we go. Reset my view and I'll show you how to start this up. Now I am using my, whoops, let's reset my zoom and everything here. Here we go. I am using my voice attack profile to help us out, and the first thing we need to do is actually go ahead and get the ground power connected. So, cockpit to ground, connect the GPU. Cockpit to ground, connect the GPU. There it goes. So wait for them to bring up the GPU. That will show the landing gear lights come on as soon as that's connected, and then we can start powering this up, which is actually very easy. There we go. So we're turning on all these systems. These bottom lights, bottom switches here are for the gun sight, which we will turn on now, but we don't really need to, so we turn that on. Then I'll leave this off, that's the battery, and we turn that on once the engines are running. Really interesting startup sequence on this as well. And oh, it's hard to move my view here. Sorry about that flickering there. I have a large microphone in my face right now. There we go. So we'll turn all the gun sight stuff on as well. So these two are gun sight power. And that one. Okay, now over here we can turn on the pumps and booster pumps, all of that, like so. There we go. So everything's lighting up nicely. We've got warning lights where we should have them. We're seeing an indication here. I don't actually know what that is. This is a FROOGLE'S Hangar. I don't know everything about everything. I just have some passing familiarity, or more than a passing familiarity. Okay, starting this is kind of cool and at once very odd. I'm going to need to move the microphone, so the sound is going to go really bad here. Hang on. Alright, the reason I've got to move the microphone, I'm shouting a bit now, is that's the fuel lever. Okay, so we're going to pop the cover off here. There's the starter. We're going to hold the starter for 2 seconds, wait for the RPM to rise. The inner dial here is thousands, low thousands. The outer dial, once it gets all the way around there, is tens of thousands. So we're going to hold this until it gets to about 900. And then we're going to start to introduce fuel, and we really need to baby this thing to get the fuel to work. There we go. So grab hold of that. Right, we're up where we want to be. Let's start babying this to get the engine to rise. Come on. You can see the red outline gauge bottom right there is fuel flow. There we go. All the way, whoa, all the way down to full. Wait for the engine to stabilize. Around about 2500, which is where it's coming up to now. Let's move the microphone back if I can. Sorry about the horrible noise there. Clear comms. So F8 and ground power. We'll turn that off. So my voice attack profile has been having some issues because there are two different radio buttons in this aircraft, much like in the A10. One is on the ground and one is not. So bear with me on that. Let's close the canopy now. Wonderful. The modelling here is absolutely exquisite. Now with that done, I'm going to turn on the oxygen flow, which is down here. So we'll rotate that. It only goes one way initially. So we'll rotate it as far as it will go. There. And then we'll turn on pressurization over here. We'll put that into the yellow. Like so. And finally turn on our taxi lights. Let me just see if voice control is actually going to work. It might not. If it doesn't, then I'll forego it. Tower, ready to taxi? No, it's going to give me problems, so we'll ignore the voice control bit until I figure that one out. So we're not going to ask for permission to taxi, but it is going to give it as soon as we start moving. Taxiing this is very interesting. And the reason why, let's put this up to 5,000 RPM. Right about there. And we should start moving if I increase power just a tiny bit more. You see that paddle down there? I'm going to press it now. That's pneumatic brakes, like you get in a truck, and that's how you turn. You pressurize the brake system and then apply the rudder. But while you're doing that, you're actually braking, so you need to be very careful to get back on the power. Otherwise, you have problems. There we go. Alright. So taxiing this is a little bit interesting because of that, and also interesting because there's quite a lag on the engine here between you increasing the throttle lever and it actually having an effect in the aircraft. You need to, of course, bear that in mind greatly when landing. See, I just moved the throttle all the way out there and you can hear the engines are still coming back up. An interesting challenge. Alright, let's just get us squared up here. It's going to be quite a long taxi down to the end of the runway. There we go. So let's make sure my flaps want 2 stages down. There we go. The gear lever is also quite interesting. Here, it's currently locked. So you would need to unlock it, like so, before you can move the handle. So I've got the gear in the down position right now. And once we take off, obviously I can raise it all the way up. And then we'll put it in the middle position and then lock it with that bar. So lots of strange quirks and idiosyncrasies, but lots to like as well, including that gun sight. I think in the second part of this video, or second half of this video, I'll actually undertake the combat instant action mission and show you how that gun sight works, because it's really quite cool, but a little bit distracting at first. Over here, all the radios, very, very old school dials, which is great. You do, of course, have a... now I've got to remember the button I have assigned to this. Bear with me. Here we go. You do, of course, have a knee board there. You can go through, look at your charts, look at your flying tips, your map as to where you are, where you're going to, which is great. And as you already saw, there's a cool tip system built into this. So as you reach certain stages, if you're doing something wrong, it will put up tips and tutorial information on the screen, which is great. I hope they really build that out. Really digging that. So taxiing a little bit fast, but that's fine. As we come up here, we're going to pressurize the brakes and press the left rudder down, like so. Then release the brake. That should lock us in that turn. There we go. I got to do it a bit more and put the power back in. Now pressurize it and push the right brake down to try to not slalom too much. Now taking off in this is very interesting. It's a bit like the Sabre. You need to stabilize the aircraft nose up at a certain point and let it just fly off the runway. You can't just yank it up. You will scrape the tail and have all sorts of problems. Now obviously we're not going to use the ATC, it should just clear us, and all I'm going to do is take off, fly around a little bit, show you how it flies, talk you through that, and then try and land it, which is a challenge. And then we'll maybe look at the instant action for combat. Clear for takeoff. No, 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 say clear for takeoff. There we go. So I got the brakes pressurized, I'm pressing the right rudder pedal down, just trying to line up. There we go. Now what we do, we increase power to 8,000, use that to get our roll going and to get us in a good position on the runway. It's coming up on 8,000 now, there we are. Alright, I think we're squared up. And with that done, we'll gently increase power to full. At 150 kilometers an hour, there, we'll pull the nose up. And as the aircraft starts to ascend or release the pressure on the back of the stick. So pressure on the back of the stick now, nose is coming up, releasing the pressure. And you can see it flies on its own. Alright, gear up. Speed's coming up now, so we'll start to bring those flaps up. And we'll trim the aircraft for a nice stable climb. There's the trim handle right there, see it? None of this Western comforts of it being on the joystick. And we'll lock. There we go. We can turn the landing lights off now. And we're airborne. Now it's got some really interesting limits. Go too slow and you'll know it. The stall is pretty violent. Go too fast and you'll know that as well. The buffet is pretty violent. I'll try to get towards a, well, not so much a stall actually at this point. A little bit too low, but I'll try to hit the upper limits. And you can see, so just trimming it nose down. Speed's coming up 500 kilometers an hour now. And as we pick up some speed, I'll just put you in the external flyby and you can see it. I'm not too convinced the external sound is right yet. Who knows? It's got a nice bit of bass to it, but it does feel a little electric. But it's certainly a beautiful aircraft. Look at that. Let's try turning. Doesn't take a lot of G to start overstretching. There we go. So the controls are already very sluggish because we're going too fast. Really sluggish. There's the pilot complaining. Speed is coming down, so I'll come off the power now. Let's roll this back round towards our base. And we'll let the speed go the other way. So I'll nose up, off the power. You heard from that grunting, it doesn't take a whole lot to stress our pilot out. There's a couple of cool features here. I don't know if you can see it, but there, and just back from there, there are two holes that stick up through the wing that you can use to visually check position of flaps and gear. So as we slow down, I'll unlock the gear here. That is unlocked, okay. And we will look at dropping the gear. So we can drop the gear at 400 kilometers an hour. So gear going down now. And you should see that pole starting to extend from the wing. Neat touch. We're coming up on 2,000 meters. No idea what that is in real money. Speed's coming down, 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 down. Less than 250, this will start to go. Now, it's getting very, very sluggish. There's the shake, see it? A little bit of a shake. I'm pulling full back on the stick now, nothing is happening. Now I'm rolling full right, and nothing is happening. So if you stall this, you have a problem. You see that? Now it's starting to take hold. It takes a little bit of effort to recover the aircraft, and then with that engine lag as well. That's an interesting challenge. Alright, so let's establish ourselves here and we'll do a little circuit and then we'll land. Landing is interesting. It's a pretty violent landing. You tend to come down about 300 kilometers an hour and then as you get over the threshold, just throw everything out. That's what I'm doing anyway. Throw everything out to bring the speed down, flare, and then hopefully touch down on the main wheels first. So, the other challenge here is not losing too much height. The aircraft is really good at losing speed. And as soon as it loses speed, it is incredibly good at losing height. It's basically a flying brick, which I love. It's great. It's very quirky. Alright, so speed's coming down out of 400. I'm trimming this nose up. I'm watching my vertical velocity right here. There we go. So gear down. Oh, he wants us to unlock the gear first. There's a helpful tip. See what I mean about the tip system? Very cool. Alright, so let's roll this over. Trying to keep it somewhat level. Watching my speed as well. So more power coming in. There's that lag, that delay between you choosing to do something and the aircraft saying, okay, let's do that. Which is great. It adds character, I think, to the aircraft. Too many aircraft that we fly in simulated worlds are a little mechanical. And that's a strange thing to say because everything we fly is mechanical. But you know what I mean? It's a little bit too prescribed, too sanitized. I like this. Alright, let's roll on to final and we'll go next stage of flaps. At this point we're going to try to keep the speed at 300 and put it in a fairly nice descent. But again, with that visibility out of the cockpit being quite limited, that's going to be hard. There's 5 meters, no it's not, that's 15 meters, we want to be about 5 meters per second. That's a marker that just went off. Speed coming up, so we're going to kill the throttles a little bit, but be cognizant of getting back on as soon as you can. I am too fast. So let's use our brake. Oh, there's the other thing, it's the speed brake. There we go. Alright, putting all the flaps out now. Power back up, hold 300 if we can. There's a handy switch down there as well, by the way, for locking the speed brake on instead of holding it on with whatever you have mapped on your joystick. Speed is very low, it needs to be higher. You see what I mean about it? It's quite a fast, savage approach. We are a little bit too low on the speed. Let's ease up here, nose up. It wants to roll as that speed comes off, and there we go. Nice touchdown at the end. Interesting aircraft. Now I didn't actually land properly. I obviously didn't have my lights on, and you're supposed to hold it nose high after you touch down, so you got a bit of aero braking going on there. My flaps still have some authority. My rudders still have some authority, so I can steer for now. Now it's wearing off a lot. Alright, welcome back. So here we are now getting on finals. Take a nice look at this aircraft. It is a really good model. They have done an amazing job at modeling everything here. Gear's already down. You might see the speed brakes come out a bit when I use them. I did use them a little bit too late, I think. Speed brake, there we go, extending from the back. A bit like on the Sabre. Lots of similarities between this and the Sabre. Very, very cool. You can see it getting a little wallowy as the speed bleeds off. It really is quite an unstable aircraft. Especially at low speed, it just does. It's like balancing on a needle. It just wants to slip off and kill you. Let's go to the flybys and see if we can catch this landing. I thought it was a pretty good landing. So far, nice and stable. Flaring a little. There we go. Not bad. Nice characteristic bump at the end. Beautiful plane. Alright, so here we are on a mission. We have to intercept the plane. Let me just check that my flaps are up, which they are. Check my gear is up, which it is. In fact, let me lock that gear. Okay, how to do this. There are 2 machine guns and a cannon on this aircraft, and an extremely small amount of ammunition. So we load the guns, uncage the gun sight, make sure our safety is off. Now what you do, there he is over there, is you need to dial in the wingspan, which on this aircraft we're going up against is about 25. So there, and then you adjust that gun sight to frame the wings of the aircraft you're going up against inside of it. And then it's a predictive gun sight. It actually does a pretty good job of showing you when you're likely to hit. You do of course need to let it stabilize. This is going to be a challenge. You do of course need to let it stabilize after doing a maneuver such as I'm about to do now. We are too slow. I don't know why. But then once it stabilizes, it's pretty accurate at showing you if you're going to hit the target. So he's dead ahead of us. He's out of range right now. It's just a little dot. So we're going full throttle trying to catch him. I have a lot of speed in this, obviously. A lot more than he does. So I need to be careful not to get too close. But yeah, then it's just, I've already broken my wingspan here. Let's dial that back in. I gotta bind some different buttons, I think. There we go. About there. He's dropping flares. That's not gonna help, son. Alright, so he's getting within range now. So I have the range set at maximum. Easing up on the throttle very gently. You're going to need to know your air combat maneuvers here because of that engine lag. You don't want to lose too much speed. No, not enough. I changed the range. There. Sorry, the wingspan. So just cross-check that every time you go to shoot. So we're just going to frame him within that gun sight, and then I should be able to just shoot when the dot's on him. Oh, I just adjusted the range badly. There we go. Sorry, the wingspan. There we go. You see what I mean? It's pretty good gun sight at predicting where things are likely to hit if you stay on top of it, which I'm not doing a good job of. Let's get out of here. He put that fire out. Good AI. So there you go. That would be the new Eagle Dynamics MiG-15 BIS. It's a lot of fun. It's still in beta. Lots to come, including the campaign, hopefully soon, training missions, and so on and so on. It's certainly a challenge if you like your aircraft old and requiring a little bit more skill than I've got. Then this is for you. It's a really, really nice aircraft. As always, my name is Frugal. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you very, very soon.